Today we are going to be doing an activity where we calculate the distance between a variety of things. And so the biggest challenge for today, I think, is going to be setting up what we're trying to find the distance from. So we are going to be using Geogebra, geogebra.org, and its built-in features to be able to help us find the distance between the variety of things. So the very first step is to take this information and put it into Geogebra. So there's a variety of ways to do that. Method number one, we are going to type in the information. So right here we're given an equation, y equals negative 4x. If I go to Geogebra and into this input box right here and type in y equals negative 4x, that gives me the line that was drawn on this picture right here. We're given a point right here. It's called A, and 6, negative 2 is the location of that point. So I'm going to go and I'm going to type in 6, comma, negative 2 to get that point, and we can see it show up over here on our grid. Now, one very important thing to know is that when we are measuring distance between two objects, we measure using perpendicular lines, because perpendicular lines give us the shortest distance between things. All right, so we need to draw a perpendicular line from point A through this line right here to figure out where our points are for measurement. So we're going to use the Geogebra built-in tools to do that. Over here on the left-hand side, we have this Tools menu. If I go to the Tools menu and I scroll down, there is a perpendicular line tool. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to select the objects I want to make a perpendicular line through. So I'm going to select A, and I'm going to select this line. And when I select those two things, it creates that perpendicular line. Now, that gives us an intersection right here. I'm going to use the Point tool to put a point right here at this intersection point, and I need to find the distance between A and B. That will give me the distance between the point and the line. So we're going to use one more tool to do that. If I scroll down here and use this line segment tool, that allows me to draw a line segment between A and B. So we can see that drawn right there. I called it H. And if I go back to the algebra menu, we can see that H has been drawn right here. All right, so H is that line segment right there. And it gives us the length of that line right here. So 5.33 and so forth is the length of that line. They're usually not nice numbers when we're dealing with lengths and distances. So make sure that you round that to the appropriate place value. All right, let's look at example number 2 here. So example number 2, we're given some information but not a picture. So we need to draw this point. It's at negative 1, 4. You can see that I've got that point right here already drawn. And then we have another point, 2, negative 4, which is drawn right here, 2, negative 4. And so we're going to measure the distance between this point A and a line that hasn't been drawn yet. So we need to draw a line through this point B, and that line needs to fit this information. All right, we know that it passes through this point and has a slope of negative 3. So I'm going to use that slope to create another point and draw the line through that other point. All right, so we go back here. We've got point B right there, and I know that the slope is negative 3. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And I'm going to put another point. That line is going to pass through both those points because it has a slope of negative 3, and it passes through the point B. So we're going to use our line tool over here in the menu. If I scroll all the way down, I can click this line tool, and that allows me to draw a line between those 2 points. That is the line that we got from this description. It has a slope of negative 3, and it passes through the point that it needed to pass through. At this point, I can do what I did before. Oops, didn't mean to draw that line. And I can draw a perpendicular line through point A to this line. So we're going to use the perpendicular line tool. Click on A, click on this line, and that gives us our perpendicular line. We're going to use the point tool to put a point at this intersection. And then we're going to use the line segment tool to draw a line segment between A and D. It gave that a name of H again. So here we are back in the algebra menu, and we can see H has a length of 0.31 and so forth. So that again gives us our distance between this point and that line right there, perpendicular. Our third and final example, we are going to draw this line in Geogebra, and I can do that just by typing this equation in. You can see that I've done that right here in our input box. And then I need a line parallel to that passes through this point. So 6, -4, I've put that point, and you can see it over in the graph right here. Now I need to create a line that's parallel to this, and I'm going to use that by doing the same slope from this line. Parallel lines have the same slope. So the slope of this line is -5/6. We're going to create another point here using that slope. So I'll go to the Tools menu, and I'm going to use the point tool to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got that point. I'm going to draw a line through those 2 points. So here we go. Click and click. And you can see that those 2 lines are parallel. Now we need a perpendicular line going from one of those points to the other. So I'm going to use the perpendicular line tool now. Click on this line, and I will click on that line. Now it doesn't actually matter where these 2 points go through, because if I take that line and I move it to a different location, then it's still perpendicular. And I can take and move that back and forth. It's not going to change the distance between those 2 lines at all. So what we really need is just a line going perpendicular to both, and I'm going to put a point at each of those intersections. Again, those don't matter where they are, so we can measure along any point on this line. All right, we now have 2 points here and here that we're going to create a line segment through. So we go click, and it gives it a name of J. So we go back to our algebra menu, and you can see that J down here in the algebra menu has a value of 1.53 and so forth. And just to show you and reinforce that it doesn't matter where it is, if I do that same thing from here to here, between those 2 points, you can see that K also has that same length right here, 1.53. That finishes up our video, so good luck finding the distance between the lines. Thank you very much.